Hello and welcome to F1 23, and I'm so excited to bring you this official gameplay here today. I'm racing around Silverstone against the hardest AI in the game, 110%. This is my first race. I will be giving you my first initial feelings, impressions, feedback, how I think the AI are interacting, how the tyres work, how the strategy works, the differences between F1 22 and F1 23 at the initial phase of the game. As well, I understand there's going to be a few competitive-minded people watching this video, league racers, maybe even just casual players who are looking to do career mode against the AI. Nevertheless, I'm going to be telling you how I go about adapting my driving style to maximise the car performance and the game performance in this early phase of the game. Of course, I've got adaptation to do myself. I'm not 100% maximising this game. No one is. It hasn't even been out yet. How can you maximise? But I want to tell you the big things changing your driving style, so when you do arrive to F1 23, you can be ahead of the competition. Already with the mindset, the early impressions, and the ability to try and get on and set some world record on the first day of the game being released on the 13th of June if you get the special edition, and the 16th of June if you get the normal edition. First thing I'm going to talk about though is the AI, and the AI in my opinion have been improved rapidly and massively since the last game. I think that defending can improve still, and there is still time for it to improve. I cannot stress enough that this is just an early phase of the game, an early build of the game. It's not the final release to go out to the public. So of course the AI can improve, but I think the defending, they're still a bit vulnerable to dive bombing and coming from one or two cars back, as you'll see later in the video. I'm able to do quite a lot of dive bombs on the AI. But the attacking from the AI is sensational on this game. You're going to see in this video AI go almost full wide down the straight and try to attack me even. I have to say, I did get caught out a few times during this race where I had to put on the overtake button just to ensure that AI didn't alongside me, let alone overtake me. This is something that I can't really remember happening on the previous F1 games. So I have to say a big credit to the game developers for making this step forward with the AI. As I was talking about, 4 wide down into Brooklyn, and Hamilton gets shuffled out wide. And I have to highlight this part of the footage with the AI because this was sensational from Hamilton's AI in my opinion. Because he was returning to the racing line, and while returning to the racing line he registered, or the AI registered, that my car was there and didn't continue to go towards the apex. Previously on the F1 games, maybe the AI would have continued to turn in and made contact. Definitely didn't happen with Hamilton, and they're definitely going side by side through Max and Beckett's, highlighting the point I was on about the AI being massively improved in their attacking. Again, the defending, I'm exploiting a little bit here by spamming the battery down the straight and going past both of them at once. But of course, as I said earlier in the video, this is an early phase of the game and continue to be improved. But as I was saying about Hamilton's AI had great spatial awareness and didn't take me out. And I think that is a huge improvement from previous games, because I think that could have happened. As I was talking about earlier, Esteban Ocon was actually trying to attack me down into his final sequence of corners by turning his battery. I had to weave across the line to make sure he couldn't get side by side with me. Now coming through turn 1, right up behind Alonso, and we're just going to dive bomb Alonso and Norris, again exploiting the fact I was talking about, that they were a bit susceptible to dive bombing at this moment in time. As I've said a million times, and will continue to say a million times, this is an early phase of the game, so still Codemasters, EA, Formula 1, everyone involved still have massive opportunity to continue to improve the AI before the release. So I have no worries about that, because if their defending can be like they're attacking, the AI are going to be very good on this year's game. I can say that for certain. Look at this, Gasly, Sainz, side by side, almost starting to attack Verstappen up ahead as well, but they're going to stay side by side. I tried to go around the outside, be a bit cheeky, but there was not enough grip on the curbing. Going down into the final section of corners, and we're going to have a little through goes Hamilton moment. You can see they're still going side by side, and they go and make a little bit of contact, but get early on the power and duck underneath them. And like I say, that's exactly what happened in real life. So you can call it chance, but I think that was very good battling from the AI to stay side by side. Of course, they left themselves vulnerable to me, but that's what happened in real life as well. So I think that was very exceptional from the AI, and I think that highlights, let alone in one race, but the capabilities that the AI possibly have with the remaining races of the calendar. Again, I've only done this race in Silverstone, so I don't fully know the extent of the AI on other tracks, but this is my first impressions. Coming down into the second to last corner, well technically third or fourth last corner, Stowe, more commonly known, and the AI is starting to box up ahead, and Max is going for one more lap. What I'm going to do is cut this final lap out, and Max Verstappen boxes at the end of the next lap. And then we have a few laps of clear air that we're going to be using these very worn medium compound tyres, and then boxing to a fresh set of soft tyres. And I'm going to highlight to you the feeling, the detail, and how to maximise your lap time potential. And what to look out for. I'm running today the default setup. I didn't want to change the setup, I just wanted to run the game how it's made, really. We have a saying in karting, run what you've run. So I basically just loaded up the setup, loaded up the game I should say, and started driving. Of course the default setup has a little bit of understeer, so you can see that in the car right here today. Definitely the trail braking has been improved, and the necessity to trail brake I think is more vital than maybe ever in the Formula 1 game. If you look to the left hand side of the screen, you'll see the red bar when I'm braking, and that is my braking trace, and you can see it comes off the brake pedal so gently to not make sure I lock up, have rear locking, front locking, understeer, oversteer. It's really critical to treat that brake pedal so gently and for your technique to be absolutely nailed. The throttle though, you can be so much more aggressive on this, and although I haven't driven a real Formula 1 car, from what I've heard about it, and also doing work on the Mercedes Formula 1 simulator during the year of 2019, this does feel like the aggression level that you can put towards a Formula 1 car, and it will take this level of aggression. So that definitely feels much more rewarding, and I have to say, the game this year so far, again, I've only used the default setup, but so far feels, do you know what, fun to drive. I'm not going to say it's a simulator, I'm not going to say it's true to life, because, to be honest, I don't know how a 2023 Formula 1 car feels in real life. But I will say right now, at the moment, it feels fun. And it feels rewarding to drive, in my opinion. The force feedback has been improved. The techniques that you do with the pedals, the steering wheel, overslipping the tyres, you get punished for now more. Like I say, the feeling through the pedals, the steering wheel, the force feedback, I think has been improved, and you definitely have to drive with more feeling, and I think it does come with more consistency as well. I would say at the moment, again, while I'm just on the default setup, it does feel like you can predict the car more compared to F122. I think sometimes in F122 you could do the same thing twice and maybe a result would happen differently, whereas this game so far definitely feels like, providing you have good trail braking technique and you don't do anything silly, or you don't do a mistake, it definitely feels more consistent, and the input that you did on the previous lap has a pretty good chance of working on the next lap, providing the tyres have the same amount of grip. If the tyres have left grip, of course, you're going to understeer or slide or oversteer, but that could happen in real life. Something I did notice though is these soft tyres fired up and started to warm up straight away. So definitely overcutting is going to be less powerful than F122, and undercutting possibly will become a big factor again. As you can see, Verstappen went to the hard compound tyres in F122. If he went to the hard compound tyres on Silverstone, the medium compound tyres would have came out a long way ahead of him. Slipstream, like I say, I think has been increased because I was able just to fly past Verstappen on the back straight like he wasn't even there, to be honest. Of course, I was using a bit of battery, and possibly he wasn't using his battery, but definitely the slipstream effect, and the closer you get to, definitely feels like what you visually see in real life, but the closer you get to, the bigger the slipstream effect is. I can't really comment on dirty air right now, because of course, I would say I have a much better pace than the AI, so I think it would be unfair to say about the dirty air right now. It would really need a league race against other top-level drivers, other F1 esports drivers, to know how powerful the slipstream and the dirty air is truly on very similar setups, and then we can start to get an understanding of what it's going to be like. You can see Sainz going for a move on Bottas up ahead, and then pulling out of the move, and you can see these soft compound tyres are so good. I will say, compared to last year, there is more tyre drop-off, so you have to manage your tyres a lot more. But you can see Sainz goes up the inside of Bottas, and we go up the inside of Sainz. Thank you very much. 2-1, jobs are good in. And we got Nico Hulkenberg in P2, 1.4 seconds up the road. I don't know what the developers gave Hulkenberg for his AI car this year so far, but he is flying up in P2. But we have the soft compound tyres and the better grip, and we're going to have DRS. So, judging what we did to Verstappen, this should be fairly easy pickings. But George Russell has snuck away with this race. He's 4 seconds in the lead, and that's going to be pretty difficult to catch. We're definitely going to try, but it's going to be very difficult to catch. Something to look out for in this game definitely is the new curbings. You could definitely ride the curbings just as much, if not more, than F1 22, but the grip on the curbings has been reduced. You can't really brake that much on the curbings anymore. You can definitely see, for example, into turn 3, I'm not braking on the curb on the left hand side. Into Brooklands, I'm not braking on the curb on the right hand side. Very rarely would I touch the curb in the braking zone there. It was just a little kiss, to be honest. It wasn't really much. I would still say you can use the curbings on the exit of the corner quite easily, as you can see me doing there, and I have been doing all race. F1 22 coming to Brooklands, I would be all over this entry curb, trying to brake with as much width as possible, but you can see I'm a lot more tentative with it that time, and I'm not going all the way over straight to the grass. I'm definitely still using it, but I'm not using it as highly as I would do on previous games. Again, as I get more used to the game, maybe that will change. Maybe I will become more confident with the curb, and maybe it will become easier to use the curb. Time will tell. But definitely it's easier to lock up on these curbs and have traction loss on the curb in general, and it's definitely something to watch out for. As I was talking about through Magnussen Beckett's, on the sausage curb, it was definitely a lot easier to use than it was previous game. But again, the ride height is pretty high on the default setup. So, it is what it is. And as we get into competitive time trials, and we get into F1 esports and league racing, the true test of the game will commence, and what we can do with setup and the limitations of that. We are catching George Russell hand over fist, but we've got 1 lap to go. Will it be enough? Will it not be enough? We'll see in 1 lap time, to be honest. But continuing to talk about the game, the tyre degradation is a lot more. The thermal deg of the tyre is more important. Not really the core temperature. That's pretty easy to manage so far in my experience, but definitely the surface temperature is very, very, very critical to maximize performance. Getting the car straight and hammering the throttle is definitely a big thing that you need to be looking out for. Coming down into Brooklyn, as you can see, going all the battery, just trying desperately to get enjoyed the DRS for one final time. As you can see, the car really likes to be pointed and squirted, like we say in racing, and that's where you squirt up the corner and just go full throttle as quickly as possible, rather than building up the throttle in a more progressive manner. Because again, you can really attack the throttle on this year's game through Cops Corner. What's completely flat out, qualifying race. What's a really nice feeling as well. Definitely improved the high speed feeling of the car, and definitely improved like low speed drivability of the car as well, with not having so much twitchy oversteer. Just in the DRS zone of George Russell, but 1 second back with only 6 seconds to go. Pretty unlikely that we're going to be able to do anything, but that's what it is. We came from last, and in this 35% race was coming up into P2, so I'd call that a success. And my early impressions of the game are extremely good. Of course, there's stuff to iron out, and I'm sure Codemasters, EA, and Formula 1 will continue to iron those things out. But as a pure driving sensation, I very much enjoyed this game. That's a nice little feature by the AI as well, driving up to the pit wall. I didn't see that in F1 22, but I didn't do that much career mode, so maybe it was there, but I didn't see it. I'm also going to show you the new podium ceremony, and the little celebration they do as well. This, I think, was the same as last year, basically hugging and being a bit happy. But I like this. This is a very much F1 2010 throwback, in my opinion. I can see a lot of similarities. And I think this little bit of enthusiasm jumping off the car is a very nice thing, and embracing the crew. I'd be interested to see if I do more races, if there are different celebrations, but that we'll see in its own time. Going to the podium, and you can see this walkout is the same, and we have a few different celebrations with the trophy. Look at Hulkenberg on the podium, what a beast. taking that harsh to new levels. But yeah, this is my first impressions. Hopefully you've enjoyed the video, and if you have any questions about F123, I'm more than happy to reply in the comments and tell you all the information that you desire to know. I've been Brendan Lee, and thank you so much for watching. I'll have plenty more F123 content coming to you extremely shortly. Keep up to date with my social medias, and I will catch you next time. Thanks so much for watching. Ciao, ciao.
So, Anthony Davidson, who would you rank as your